I always use this stupid example, like George Clooney's floating outside my house, right? Like that's a violation of a law of nature. I see this thing, right? What should my attitude towards my own experience be, right? And so that's what Hume is going to focus on. And I already talked about this a little bit, but we're going to dive in more deeply today, right? And he's going to basically say a couple of things. One, again, that we should proportion our belief to the evidence, right? So when I'm figuring out how to approach my belief about seeing George Clooney floating outside, I need to compare that not just to the evidence in that instance, but also to all the other evidence I've developed in the past, right? Because that's also part of my knowledge base, right? Present and past. What is my experience in the past about people floating, right? And so when I proportion my belief to all of my experience, not just the present, but all of my past knowledge as well, well, then the likelihood that what I saw in the present actually occurred becomes very, very small, right? And so my confidence level that that is actually what I saw should be very, very small, right? And that's all it is, right? We are figuring out how confident we should be in supposedly witnessing a particular type of miraculous phenomenon. Okay, so again, just to cover a little bit, I have in here slides 21 and 22 about his metaphysics, right? The inevitable source of uncertainty and error, the justest and most plausible objection against a considerable part of metaphysics, that they are not properly a science, right? Because again, he thinks laws of nature go beyond the evidence, right? And science shouldn't go beyond the evidence into the future. We can't claim to know what's going to happen in the future. Instead, these theories arise from the fruitless efforts of human vanity, right? He thinks it's very vain and ignorant to claim that, well, we just know, we know what's going to happen in the future, which would penetrate into subjects utterly inaccessible to the understanding, or from the craft of popular superstitions, which being unable to defend themselves on fair ground, raise these entangling branches to cover and protect their weakness, right? So what he's saying is that since they can't actually prove that something is going to happen in the future, they craft these superstitions or super complex models of what's going on to explain it, like we were just sort of taught, right? There's, oh, it's part of a bigger plan we just can't understand, right, with our puny human brains, right? And for him, that's unacceptable, right? That is not a sufficient response to the critique. So again, instead, he's going to be looking at what should we believe about our experiences if we cannot use just argumentation to ensure that they've occurred. Okay, so again, can we ever be justified in believing that a miracle has occurred? Swinburne said yes, right, as long as, right, it was a violation of the law of nature in a non-repeatable counter instance. And also what? Who can remember what Swinburne also required for us to believe in miracles? What else do you need? Yes, and on purpose by whom? Has to have been clearly for a reason, right? And for the reason being something that a divine being, right, obviously was motivated to do. We may not necessarily know what the reason is, right? But that some sort of intent or direction or, again, intelligent design was at play in that instance.